This presentation is presented by the Iris, Stella, Ellie, George, and Jody. We will analyze the issue of refugee resettlement and provide recommendations and potential solutions to this issue. The resettlement and intake of refugees and asylum seekers has been an issue of much discussion in the past few decades. In the early 1980s, refugees intake numbered at around 20,000. Since 1984, the annual intake of refugees has decreased to 14,207 and has fluctuated between 11,000 and 14,000 in following years. The overall issue Australia faces is the pressure to accept more refugees and the need to establish better policies regarding refugee resettlement. Hence, this reveals that refugee resettlement has become an issue that needs to be addressed by both businesses and the government. With regards as to how Australia can resettle refugees as well as why we should accept more of them. Hence, we will look at how the government can incorporate economic aspects when resettling refugees and how business can look to benefits from increased refugee resettlement and participation in the labor force.
What we propose as a potential solution to this issue is to have the government implement a new policy with accepting more refugees. This policy involves resettling refugees into well-established communities where there are others from refugee backgrounds. From here, they will find members of the community that are from the same nationalities or cultural background who can provide them with some of the assistance and support that they need. Moreover, this policy will look to provide the necessary housing and public services when the refugees move into this community. Examples can include the Medicare health services and the Australian Migrant English Program, which provides 510 hours of free English lessons to refugees and immigrants. This concept will lead into our second recommendation, which will focus more on how businesses can benefit from increased refugee resettlement and providing supports for these in need.
Refugee assistance programs is one area in which businesses can assist asylum seekers and refugees enter the workforce. These programs support refugees with their skills, helping them gain familiarity with the Australian workforce through workshops, industry training programs, seminars, and internships. For example, Settlement Services International is an organization that works alongside businesses to assist refugees seeking employment. Programs run by SSI include Refugee Employment Support Program and Job Active. The primary aim of these programs is to address the challenges that are experienced by refugees in finding skilled employment opportunities through its weekly workshops and seminars. Therefore, in order to help more refugees, it is recommended that businesses run programs similar to SSI assistance programs. These programs effectively enable people seeking asylum to contribute productively to the Australian community, which will significantly reduce the disparity in culture and communication.
The reason for this recommendation is because it addresses and provides economic reasons to resettle more refugees into Australia. Many refugees experience hardships when they are first resettled, such as health issues, which negatively impact their ability to participate in the labour force. They can also face long-term unemployment and lower income due to poor English proficiency. Though it can be costly for the government to provide support to refugees, the new policy that will be introduced will provide long-term benefits and results for both Australia and refugees. By providing housing and government support services, refugees will be able to properly resettle into their own new communities. From this, research has highlighted how despite the initial hardships that first-generation refugees face, as the length of residence in Australia increased, unemployment rates decreased. The refugees' children and grandchildren will experience even better living standards as they receive Australian education, and are more likely to be employed. This underlines intergenerational improvement and the significance of this policy in providing the right services to support refugees. This will lead to increased cash flows and consumer spending in local communities. Hence, this policy will establish a proper foundation for refugees and their families as they eventually become self-sufficient and able to provide benefits for the Australian economy.
The second recommendation accelerates the results of the first. Implementing a program focusing on integrating refugees to businesses will encourage more participation in society, thus improving their quality of life. It will lead to increased access to professional jobs, formation of new relationships outside of refugee communities, and also valuable knowledge that can be passed on to other refugees, promoting continued development of valuable skills. Integrating refugees into society will benefit Australia in a sense that there will be a greater proportion of skilled workers, increasing the quality of employees, leading to an increase in potential GDP, deriving from a more populated, skilled workforce. By highlighting these positive aspects, we believe that we can change the negative perception created by focusing on the negatives. This adheres to Supple's 2016 view, emphasising that misleading media coverage can be damaging, as they become a scapegoat for economic and political issues.